Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we are going to be looking at Victorinox's latest iteration of their 93mm Alox series, and this is the Victorinox Farmer X. And this particular knife offers a lot of functionality in a pretty compact package. Now, personally, this is about the thickest that I like to see my Victorinox knives that I'm going to be carrying in, and mine are usually supplemented with a full-size multi-tool. If you watch my channel, you know that I'm a Leatherman Surge user. So this is more supplementary to me. So it's for that reason, this particular knife is not one that I'm going to carry very often because it really is kind of redundant functionality for me. But for those that don't carry a separate multi-tool and you're looking for a good capable saw, good capable scissors, as well as the awl and the other tools that this offers, this is a very, very good option. Let's get into the Victorinox Farmer X. Well, let's hop through the specs of this little guy first. So this is a 93mm frame. It's going to be 93mm in its overall length. For SAE measurements, that's going to be 3 5/8 of an inch. So pretty good sized pocket knife for length, especially when you're talking about the knife blade itself. And the width here is going to be just slightly over 5/8 of an inch, but we're going to call it 5/8 of an inch. It's right at 16mm, and the thickness is right at 5/8 of an inch, almost exact. And if I remember right, that's like 15.87, if I remember correctly, in metric. So 15.87 millimeters in thickness. Now the weight on this is going to be a little bit heavier than what you're going to get with the other knives in the Alox line, obviously, because it adds that fourth layer. So it's going to come in at 3.9 ounces. It's actually just slightly under that at 3.88 or 3.889, somewhere real close to that, and about 111 grams. So because it's going to have that extra layer, it's going to be a little bit thicker. It's going to be just a little bit heavier as well. Now, I kind of didn't pick the best day in order to do this because I just cut my fingernails. And really, one thing that you'll notice about the Victorinox Alox versions is that some of the springs on some of the different mechanisms are a little bit crisper, a little bit tighter. And while that lends to, especially when it comes to the knife blade, it's going to be a little bit more robust than what you're going to get in a standard 91mm. Some of them can be a little bit more difficult to open. They're not quite as easy if you're accustomed to your regular Victorinox knives. One thing that we're going to show you the difference, and I'll just try to be quiet here for just a second so you can kind of hear as we flip the scissors open. That's one of those springs that is a little bit tighter, a little bit stronger. So here's just your regular Victorinox. You can kind of hear, I don't know how well that's going to come through, but we'll try it now with the Farmer X. It makes a little bit crisper sound. It's a little tighter. It's going to be a little harder to open up initially because it's got a lot more spring to it than what your standard one does. So we'll look at the first tool here, which is the scissors. That is what this has over the standard Farmer. And one of the tools that I really truly like in Victorinox knives, especially when you're in these 91 and 93mm, is a good pair of scissors. And the reason that I personally like that is because I feel like these knives, especially a lot of the Victorinox knives, are very good supplemental tools when you're talking about people that carry full-on or full-size plier-based multi-tools. I feel Victorinox knives are an excellent complementary knife. They're also good on their own as a standalone as well. So I do like the fact that it has the very nice 93mm scissors in there, and they work absolutely fantastic. Victorinox scissors, people that have used Victorinox scissors just know that they are incredibly sharp, incredibly easy to operate. I really do love them. So the next two tools, the first two that we're going to look at on the first layer here, are the standard tools that you're going to get with most Victorinox knives. You got your can opener, and then it's got your micro screwdriver, flat driver up here as well. Now, I've been told that this also works as a Phillips. It's a little thin for me to try to use that as a Phillips. I'm always afraid that might, if you got a screw that's a little bit tough, that might have a tendency to twist and damage that particular tool. But I have been told by many, many viewers that also in a pinch will work as a Phillips. Now the next tool is it's kind of a four-way. So I don't know that they call it out as a pry tool, but it definitely works for that as well. So this is really great for, you know, just getting open paint can lids. It's not something that's going to be super robust, though I will say that it's going to be more robust than what you're going to find on the standard one. So we'll just bring a standard Victorinox in here, and you can see that it's much thicker here, has a little bit wider screwdriver as well, so it's built a little bit stronger than those regular Victorinox knives are going to be. So this doubles as your pry tool. It also is your large flat driver. It's going to be your bottle cap lifter, which I really like the bottle cap lifters on Victorinox. They just work really well because they're built a little bit thicker. My particular Leatherman that I carry is a little bit thin for that, though I don't find myself opening up bottle caps that often. These actually do work a little bit better than the one on my Leatherman multi-tool. And then you have a little wire stripper down here at the base as well. Now those, I'm not extremely proficient with these wire strippers. I know that they work. They're really better for smaller gauge wire. When you get into larger gauge wire, now you can modify them, and I plan on it at some point. The one that I finally decide I'm going to carry kind of full time, I'm going to end up modifying it and make it a little better wire stripper for my personal needs. Now the next tool is this saw blade. And this is, if you're leaning towards, if you're the type of person that is an outdoorsman, you're working outdoors, or you are, you know, you're bushcrafting, you're camping, you find yourself outdoors more often, and you find the need for a saw blade more than you do some of those other tools. This is one of those reasons why you might want to look at the Farmer or the Farmer X, because the saw blade on here is very, very nice, and it's very long as well when you're comparing it. I think it might not be the same. Let me find one that I have a saw blade on here, because I don't know that I got one of my Victorinoxes out that has a saw blade. Oh, I do. So we'll just see. I actually thought that this was a little bit thicker, but it may be the exact same saw blade. In fact, it appears that it is. So we'll just set them side by side here real quick. So I didn't even know that. I actually thought this was going to be just a touch longer, but in fact, it is the same saw blade thickness. It does appear to be the same as well. So let's just take a look at that real quick. You can see that they kind of line right up with the saw blade on the Fieldmaster here. So the saw blade, at any rate, the saw blade on here is one of those things that, one of the reasons why you might want to look at this particular knife. And Victorinox saw blades are really, really great. They're not quite as good as Leatherman saw blades, like in the Wave or in a Super Tool 300, in my opinion. I think you get a little bit better saw blade in those, but the difference is really, really negligible. It's not enough to complain or gripe about. It's just that because I have a variety of multi-tools, I personally notice the difference. Now, the next tool is the awl, and this is another reason, you know, all of the Alox version of knives, they incorporate this same awl, this reamer. I guess it wouldn't be considered an awl. It's going to be considered a reamer. Now, it does not come with the sewing eyelet, but one thing I do love about it is how they form this and that sharp cutting edge on there. So this is going to be great both for puncturing stuff with that really nice tip. It's actually really, really sharp. And you can use that as a little scraper too if you're on the side of something. Would work good for striking ferrule rods with this particular tool as well. So I like the awl on this. I especially like the awl on the Alox versions because it's actually a really useful tool. Now, it used to be I didn't really use the awl that much because I'm more of a metal worker, but more and more I have found uses for the awl in my Leatherman Surge. And so I actually value this tool more than I used to. And this particular one on the Alox version, because it comes out the end of the knife as opposed to the center of a knife in your standard Victorinox, it's just a really, really great awl to have in this particular knife. That's one of the reasons I love the Alox version, is because of that one implement. And then when we get to the knife blade, now the knife blade on here, let's just bring that Fieldmaster back in here again. This is where we were talking about that the blade's going to be a little bit thicker. The spine of it is going to be a little bit thicker. So you can kind of see that you get a little bit more robust knife with the Alox version. That is one of the biggest advantages that the Alox has over your standard 91 millimeters. Now, as far as length, they're going to be roughly the same, but you're going to get a little bit wider blade. It's just going to be a little bit more robust. Is the difference negligible? I think it probably is, but nonetheless, this knife is built a little bit stronger, so you can put a little bit more into it without fear of bending it over and damaging the knife blade. So this is one of the reasons that I love the 91 millimeters, and this is like the perfect backup blade. So let's just, I can't remember what it is exactly. So we are right at just a tick under 2.5 inches, so about 2 7/16 of an inch. For me, that's a perfect pocket blade. I really like that length of blade. I'm real big on having right around 2.5 inches and sometimes as much as 3. But for a pocket knife, I'm really okay with it being anywhere from about 2 to 2.5 inches in length. And this one really fits the bill well for your standard pocket knife. Now, the last thing that you have on here is your key ring. I don't know that I like the key ring on these knives. Now, I know this will be good if you want to add something like a suspension clip, or if you want to put a lanyard on your knife. I personally think that I would rather have that filed off. This is one of the reasons I like the electrician a lot, is because it does not have that key ring, and so it just makes a little bit more profiled knife. It just seats better in the pocket. It just carries better. Excuse me. Not that that is extremely uncomfortable or something that you would notice, but it's just a personal preference thing. And I know a lot of people like to put lanyards on their knife, so this is a good option to have on there for those that do, and for those that don't, you could always file the thing off if you don't like it. Now, who would want this, or who, well, I take that back, because I think a lot of people might want this knife, but who is this knife going to be most beneficial to? Well, first of all, for those that carry full-size multi-tools, this might not be the right option for you, because in most of your good multi-tools, and we're going to be talking specifically for Leatherman and Victorinox here, they offer very good saw blades. So the saw blade might be redundant for you. But if you're an outdoorsman and you find yourself in need of a saw blade more often than some of the other tools, it might be a good idea to have a backup saw blade with you. And boy, you can't go wrong with a Victorinox saw as your backup saw blade, because they are incredibly good saw blades. The next person that might want to, and why would you look at Alox over just your standard tools when you get a little bit more capability? Obviously, you get scale tools. Well, first of all, these are built just a little bit stronger. They're going to be a little bit more robust. I personally feel like they're a little bit more premium. I love the textured scales, the aluminum scales on here. I think they're just fantastic. They feel premium. They feel stronger. It's just a better overall knife. And there's a reason why they charge more for them, because they are built a little bit more robust. But one of the main reasons that I like the Alox version is got to be in the awl. When your standard Victorinox knives, you're going to get the ones that do have the awl. They're going to be at the back of the knife. They're going to come out in the center, and this is not nearly. It's a pretty good awl in its own right, but it's not nearly as effective, in my opinion, as opposed to the one that comes out, parallel with the knife, as opposed to, or at the end of the knife, as opposed to perpendicular with the knife. I feel like it's going to be a better option. Obviously, we pointed out some of the differences. This tool's a little bit more robust in the Alox versions. I really like the scissors in here. So for me personally, this is not one of those knives that I'm going to carry, because it's a little bit redundant for me, because I am actually a full-time multi-tool, or plier-based multi-tool user, and with the Leatherman Surge, I get the capability of the saw blade. So this is a little bit redundant to me. Now, if you're using it as a standalone tool, then this would be a very good option. This is obviously going to be the most capable of all the Alox line at the moment. Hopefully they continue to add to this 93 millimeter line. I would really like to see a number of different knives that come out in here, because I love the fact that Victorinox has so many different combinations of knives, because then you can find the right fit for the right person, where you're not carrying extra stuff that you need, or extra weight or extra thickness in these knives. You're just getting the capabilities that you need and that you're going to find most useful. The Farmer X is a great option, though. Going to give you fantastic scissors, fantastic saw blade. All the tools on here are just, they're very well built, and they're very capable. I especially like the fact that the awl comes out on the end as well. So this has been a look at the Victorinox Farmer X. It is an excellent choice if you're looking for a pocket knife. I'm going to leave links below for all the Alox version knives here, so that if you are interested in this, just click on that link. Anytime you do make purchases through those links as an affiliate through Amazon, they don't give you much, but they do give you a little bit of kickback. So it really helps me out so that I can help to get you more stuff out here on the channel. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate you watching my overview and review of the Victorinox Farmer X. An excellent knife. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.